Hey guys, so yesterday I did a video that was a little heavy. It was talking about adverse childhood experiences and trauma and things that maybe were hard for you, and there were some things that were hard for me. So I thought today would be a bit more fun to just lighten the mood and let's talk about some like fun things that happened in childhood. Maybe you can relate to some of this stuff. Um, if not, tell me some stuff that happened in your childhood. I'm interested to know. So, one thing I remember is like when we were like supposed to go to the gym as a class, it was like a big deal. Like it was like, oh, sweet, we don't have to like sit in our desk, we don't have to like listen to our teacher. Well, I mean, we have to listen, but we had to, go to the gym and figure out what's going on. And I went to a Catholic French school, so um, it wasn't necessarily like sometimes it was like, oh, sweet, we're going to church. It wasn't like, oh, sweet, we're going on a field trip. And sometimes it was like an announcement for the whole school. Sometimes it was like a celebration for an upcoming um, holiday. There was like some other stuff. I remember once actually, not once, when Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was really popular. One of the teachers, I guess, I'm guessing this at least now in retrospect, put together like a thing, Who Wants to Be a Golden Eagle, because that was like our mascot for our school. So like the whole school would like pile in and like watch this like show on the stage of like somebody answering questions in French about, I don't remember what, maybe some school stuff, maybe some like, educational stuff as well. Um, but I remember it was like really cool. I thought I was like, this is the coolest. Like my school's awesome. But then there were some times that weren't cool. But we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about the cool times. Um, Also, I guess this is also in sixth grade. A lot of my friends and I were in the same class. So we started this notebook, or maybe I should be honest and say I started this notebook with like the approval of my friends, where we would like pass notes back and forth, but instead of passing notes, you could just pass the notebook, and like then you could have like a record of what other people said in case you need to hold it against them later, typical peer oriented stuff that kids do. Um, and also in that year, there was a girl in my class who was like super artistic. I was in a split class, so it was like grade six and grade seven. So this girl was in grade seven, and she made these like cartoon paper dolls of people, cartoon baby dolls, and they were like really good and really funny. So they were like super in demand. Like, like when you're in school and something's really popular, it's like all everyone could talk about and like, oh, I've got this. Da, da, da. So she made these like baby dolls of like anyone who wanted one, which was everybody. And I think for a while there was like a little waiting list because everybody was like, these dolls are so hot right now. And you could like make little outfits for them. And it was so cool and so fun. Also in sixth grade, I made a comic of me and my friends. We were like a girl band or something, and I don't remember a lot more about that other than it was like a lot of work, but I was like so happy and excited to do it and show my friends because, at that age, your friends are everything, at least in Western culture. Like by the time you're 12, it's like parents have, they don't really matter. At least my mom's like opinion didn't matter as much as my friends did. Um, I'm trying to think of some other stuff that happened when I was in school. Oh, not so fun, but someone stole my Game Boy Color Pikachu edition, and I like was like doing some detective work to find out who it is, and like no, the teachers wouldn't like take it back from the kid that I found out who it was, and I was really disappointed about that because I was like, man, like Mine. I got it for Christmas. Got it from Santa. Oh, geez. Being a kid is so different because, like, it just seems like everything is such a big deal. You know, everything is such a big deal because you've only lived for such a short amount of time and everything is so new still, so that when something happens, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened, or, drama on the school front. I also really enjoyed in gym class when we would do gymnastics. I thought it was really fun. I wasn't much of a like gym person. I actually really didn't like gym. I've never been like a super active person. I don't really have a sport that like calls me like, oh, I just, I love basketball. Like I'm just to be honest, I'm not that good at any of them, and it just doesn't really bring me joy to play, except for badminton. That is pretty fun, but I also like, there's a limit where I'm like, okay, cool, like, can we do something? So, anyways, gym wasn't my favorite. I didn't really like the changing room moment either, like, where people, you have to get changed in the change room, and that was always like a little like embarrassing because I had body issues and I was, you know, ashamed and feeling guilty and all of these things. So that wasn't very fun. Um, what else can I talk about being a kid? There was always like, so I should say maybe a lot of my like moments that I remember from being a kid was taking the school bus. So I lived like close to the bus depot, so I was always the first kid on the bus and the first kid off the bus, or last kid off the bus rather. So I developed like, I don't want to say a friendship, but I was like friendly with the bus driver. His name was Bill, but we called him Bus Driver Bill. And I don't know what his deal was, but he would always like do this like thing. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what his deal was, but he would just like do this face all the time, and he would always be like, shut the window. Like there was no window. It was like, shut the window if it was raining, and we all would like open the windows. Woo, let's all get wet. But he wouldn't be too happy about that. And anyways, he would just yell at people all the time for just acting a fool on the bus. He would flips over the seats and stuff. But it was like, it was fun. And I just remember like, chatting with my friends on the way, and like a lot of my like close friends were on my bus anyway, so we would get a chance to chat, and then there would be like maybe some unfinished business from school that we would have to talk about or gossip, and it's just a simpler time. But for those of you that miss being a kid, I can't see it. I can't see it because yeah, it was like more carefree and more fun. But you can have fun as an adult. You don't have to be a kid to just have fun. And, for those of you that are like, well, I have bills to pay and stuff like that. Yeah, but at least you're in control of your life. Speaking on yesterday's topic about, childhood experiences, like when you're a kid, you're not in control of your home life. Whereas now, as an adult, you are in control of your home life. So you're able to change things. And, if you don't like something, you can change it. So I don't know, guys. I don't like, I love to reminisce, but I also don't want to go back. Same thing with high school when people say, like, oh, those were the glory days. I'm like, what? Right now is the glory time. Right now. Like, high school was not a glory time for me. It was a dark experience that I'm like, just not like, I remember a lot of things fondly, but there were like a lot of like moments where I wasn't proud of who I was and what I was doing. And so yeah, guys, fun to reminisce about the past, fun to reminisce, but we need to just work towards being happy with our current moment, our now. And if you're not happy with the now, why? Why not? Only you have the answer to that question. I'm trying to think of something else that was like fun in school that, oh yeah, we had these poles that randomly were just like in the ground, and for the longest time everyone was like, what's with these poles? And then one day all of a sudden there was a tether ball attached to it, and the school like went in. Like there was like, we organized tournaments, we did all of these things. It was such a moment. Tetherball, are you playing tetherball at recess? You know, like trying to figure out what your friends are doing at recess so you can like do the same, because you know kids are so peer oriented. Oh, you know, what are you doing, what am I doing? Oh, let's do this after lunch. And so um, so as I mentioned, I was the first kid on the bus and the last kid off the bus. So I lived like really far from the school. Um, I went to school in this like little village in south southeastern Ontario. It's like a French village, French Catholic village that I just like didn't really fit into so much. Um, at least I didn't feel like I did. But anyways, I had a friend that lived in town. So sometimes I would go to that person's house for lunch. Oh my God, that was so cool. And for those of you that went home for lunch every day and you're like, oh, who cares? Like, grass is greener on the other side. I was like, you can just walk home? This is amazing. And I just, specifically, one thing that came to my mind is one day I went over to my friend's house for lunch and we had like instant fried rice or something, and I just like, I don't know, I just thought it was like the coolest thing. I'm like, oh my God, instant fried rice for lunch. I'm supposed to be at school, but I'm not. I'm hanging out with my friends, and this is wild. I didn't really have a lot of friends in my neighborhood growing up, so all of my friends were from school. So, did you like being a kid? Was it fun for you? Do you have any positive um, experiences or memories that you'd like to share? I always like to read people's experiences because I just think they're interesting. I think it's interesting to hear how other people lived or how other people went through life. So I'm gonna say it. Leave it in the comments below if you want to share a story with me. I'd love to hear it. And you know, for those of you that are missing your childhood, guys, the best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. And for those of you that are parents, make sure that you make it so that your kids have the childhood that you would have dreamed of, but also give them the space to do what they want. I kind of like, yeah, I was like, wait, as I said it, I was like, no, don't force your childhood on them, but like, just let them try different things. Let them figure out who they want to be through play, through activities, but also give them space to just be too. That's important. Don't have your kids in like 75 different after school activities. Like give them at least some time to rest and figure out what they want and who they want to be. So on that note, guys, love yourself. If you have kids, go give them a hug. You have an inner child, give your inner child a hug. And thanks for listening.